Hello, I'm Locke. We're at Lake Raleigh and want to look for some awesome plants today, and it's a beautiful day to go on a walk. So we're going to look at the forest floor, see what native things we can find, see what has medicinal values, and we're going to go explore around different topography in the lake to see what different plants are in different spaces. So let's go explore. On the bank of the lake, here's a Peltandra, and this normally has purple flowers, but this one has already gone to its fruiting stage. So there's these huge fruit pods dangling at the base of the plant, and if you look up close, they are filled with these fruits with seeds in them. And I could break them apart, and if I pop one, I can get the seed out, and it's covered in this mucus membrane, very sticky, like a hydrogel. If I wanted to, I could probably take these seeds and scatter them along this bank a little bit to help distribute it, but nature will help it do that by itself. I kind of touch everything because generally most things are okay to touch. There might be some poisonous things like poison ivy, obviously, but usually it's with like ingesting a leaf where it could be bad. So I like to feel everything, feel the different textures. Yeah, don't be afraid. So beautiful. This is one of my favorite plants. It's a Sassafras. So it's kind of common to see them really small. This one is less than a foot tall, but it's easy to ID because they have different shaped leaves. So there's going to be some that are mitten shaped, is what it's called. So there's these 3 lobes, and then some leaves are just full round, but they smell really good when you crush them. And historically they've been used for like teas and things with the roots, but I just like to smell the leaves when I'm passing through the trail. So this plant is Greenbriar, or the genus is Smilax, and I guarantee you can find this in whatever woods you live near. But it just has these big oval leaves, and it'll have thorns on the base of the plant. But if you look closely on the shoots, it's really soft growth, and you can rip off the tip of the shoot and eat it. So if you're ever hungry in the woods, take a tip of a Smilax. So this stunning plant is Lobelia cardinalis, and it is a native to the southeast of North America. So this is only the 3rd time I've seen this in the wild around here. So it's not super common, but it's also called Cardinal Flower, and it has bright red flowers, and it's stunning. Like, I rarely see red plants like this that are native. So this does like to be in wet environments, which is why it's directly on the bank of this lake, almost in the water. But it's a little tolerant of drier sites, so you could probably have it in a rain garden or a wet spot of your yard, even if it dries out sometimes. But this can be available in local nurseries, and you can definitely get seeds online. So this is a great plant to introduce to your yard, or observe in the wild like we are right now. Normally, like harvesting from the wild, like digging up a whole plant would not be encouraged, so definitely make sure it's okay if it's something like super populated in a forest or in your area. Then maybe taking one small thing is okay, but generally you would want to avoid that and leave no trace. Another thing to look for is invasive plants. So this would be Elaeagnus or Silverberry, and it's super easy to identify because of the silver underside of these leaves. So I still do like to look for them to see how many invasives are growing in these parts. Even though they are a bad plant, I don't like seeing them. They have one benefit, which is their fruit. So they have little red berries that are pretty sour. You could harvest all the berries and take them home and consume them, and you're kind of stopping the plant from reproducing while also getting some food out of it. I've just eaten the berries raw, but I think you could put it into a jam or cook them down, because they're kind of sour, a little bit astringent, so different times of year they probably taste a little bit different, but I just like eating them. But if you see something growing and you're not familiar with the plant, I would avoid eating it because there can be some poisonous things. But usually in moderation, like if you just have a couple, it's not really gonna hurt you, but there could be a species that would be pretty toxic. So I would avoid things that you're not familiar with. So this is a hickory, which is a large tree, but here we see the sapling because that's usually what you're going to see on the side of a trail there where you can interact with it. It's usually going to be pretty small. So hickories are pretty easy to identify because this is one leaf and these are the leaflets. So they'll usually end in 3 like this. So I always like to interact with hickory on the trail because they smell really good. So anytime I see these 3 leaves on that leaflet, I like to rub it and smell because there's multiple hickory species in North Carolina and a lot of them smell really good. Even the nuts smell good, which would fall down in earlier spring. So if I see the leaves or the nuts, I just rub them and smell them as I'm walking along. So this is Hexastylus, or wild ginger. There's also a Arum species around here, which are wild ginger, and they have either a triangle leaf shape, or a Arum would have more of a heart-shaped leaf. But they usually have these lighter patterns on the middle, and they'll grow in little clumps on the ground with maybe 5 leaves, and they smell so good, like licorice. And if you pay attention to a clump, almost like this, in early spring, if you dig around at the base, you can see little tiny jugs, which is why this plant is also called little brown jug. So this is one of my favorite natives because it's something where you would walk past and you wouldn't normally notice anything. But if you like dig under the leaves, then you can see the flowers, which are normally hidden. So that makes it exciting to look for in the spring. Thanks again for exploring with us, and we'll find some more native plants soon.